Hi, Leo. Welcome to your June forecast. I'm titling this month for you, Stay Strong. So, the first thing we're going to do is look at the big picture story playing out in the background. That's Pluto retrograde. And then we're going to dive into the day to day energy at play. If your birthday is closer to July 23rd, you may benefit from listening to Cancer's horoscope. If you were born near August 22nd, you might gain value from listening to Virgo. Please start with your rising sign. It's your motivation for living and also how the energy stacks around the zodiac wheel. Then you can listen to your sun, which is tied to your career and hobbies, as well as the moon. It represents your emotions, intuition, and private life. So to start off, on May 4th, Pluto went retrograde. Retrogrades are time to rethink, review, refine. Pluto is the planet of transformation. It can feel like a death and rebirth process. It's clearing out the old to make way for the new. Since the energy is so powerful, the good news is it doesn't all happen at once. This is a 20-year transit. But during the retrograde, you're being asked to rework your committed partnerships, and that can be romantic, business, or friendships. And it's also about self-awareness. So you've already experienced a lot of this changes in your relationships over the last years as Pluto went back and forth between Aquarius and Capricorn. But now you can really think about what you need from your partnerships and who's best for you now until mid-October. So Pluto is also connected to your fourth house of home, family, real estate, parents, and the past. So this could make you extra nostalgic. You might be thinking a lot about your childhood, how your relationships have been impacted by how you were raised, or if you've recently entered into a serious relationship, you might be moving in together, buying furniture, decorating. If this doesn't have to do with a romantic relationship, it could be a business partnership. Maybe you're reconsidering how you can spend more time with your family or how you can juggle your work and home responsibilities. If you're recently separated or divorced, then your home life will obviously be impacted. The relationship could be with a marriage counselor, a therapist, a divorce attorney, a realtor who's helping you process the loss, prepare for an amicable arrangement, or sell your property. It's really important, though, to note that Pluto is the power of empowerment or power plays. So whatever is happening, you'll want to keep things on the up and up, especially at the onset of this transit. You can see that there is a square to Venus in Taurus in your 10th house of career, reputation, social status, and parenting. Venus, we know, it's love, money, values. Taurus wants to keep the peace. The good news is the favorable aspect to Uranus in Taurus. While all of this change may be like a whirlwind, it may be sudden, it has the potential to positively impact your career and public reputation, your public image. There's also a sextile to Neptune and Saturn right here in your 9th house of ceremonies, law, education, travel, politics, and religion. So again, this can definitely point towards something legally binding or something that needs to be legally dissolved. Okay. All right, so we talked a little bit about Venus. I want to dive into that more because this is the day-to-day now, where Pluto retrograde, I believe, is more about what's happening in the background and what may be driving our decisions subconsciously. Now we've got the energy that's faster moving. And starting on June 6th, Venus, which is the planet of love, beauty, art, money, anything that holds value, in Taurus wants comfort and stability and peace. So with Venus in your 10th house of career, social status, your role in society from now until Independence Day, it's suggesting that you listen to your heart, especially since Venus is sitting next to Chiron right here. And that's the asteroid of deep-rooted pain. So this is an opportunity to heal something. Since Venus is also connected to your 3rd house of communications, contracts, business, negotiations, as well as neighbors, siblings, and relatives, make sure to read the fine print. And if you need to talk something through, grab someone close to you who has your best interests in mind. You need to share openly and honestly, though. That's going to be the key about what's going on. Because remember, there is a square to Pluto in your seventh house of committed partnerships and self awareness. So there is some kind of tension with another person, or someone you're committed to could be going through a difficult time and you don't know how to help them through it. So the blessing is the sextile to Jupiter right here in your 12th house. And the 12th house is about the subconscious, things we keep private, resting, retreats, recuperation. But it can also be vices and addiction and self-sabotage. So let's go with the sextile, and lean more into, how you are keeping a positive mindset to mentally process all of the change that's going on. Yeah, so I think just lean in on your besties here, your siblings, your relatives, people who are close to you. Again, if you need to talk something out, or some kind of professional achievement or milestone is going to help you see the forest through the trees. Okay. So now we're going to go to the 9th, and we're going to talk more about Jupiter. Because on the 9th, Jupiter is entering Cancer. Let's move the wheel ahead just a little bit because I want these aspects as accurate as they can be for whole house readings. 29, 29. So 29 is okay, there we go. So now we've got 0 degrees of Cancer, the purest form of the sign. And it's in your 12th house. So we talked about this a little bit. The 12th house really is the most private area of our lives. It has to do with our inner thoughts, our personal and our spiritual development, and vices. And when I say vices, I don't just mean like drinking and drugging. I mean codependency, procrastination, any coping mechanism. The square to Saturn right here in your 9th house says you need to take this seriously. And because it's in the 9th house, you're going to benefit from education on psychology, how the mind works. Travel is going to be a really good release, or you could change your view on traditional marriage instead of being pressured into something that you don't feel is right for you, or your political affiliation if you feel like what's happening in the world is blocking your growth and you don't align with what's happening anymore, causing you anxiety. Now, Neptune is right here next to Saturn, and it makes things really confusing. So remember that Jupiter for you is connected to your 5th house of dating and creative projects and children, as well as other people's money, the 8th house right up here, and intimacy matters. So if you're not already working with like a therapist, an astrologer, an energy healer, I think that now is really going to be the best time to do this. And Jupiter is going to be in Cancer between June 9th all the way until July 20th of 2026. It stays in a sign for roughly a year, pending on any retrograde activity. So that's what I would do. I would definitely get some help to work through any of the darker times that can be associated with the 12th house as Jupiter moves there. Because again, I always say Jupiter is about wisdom and good luck and good fortune, and it is, but sometimes you have to work for it, and the downside to it is it expands everything it touches. So if you are in a bad mood, sadness can quickly turn to depression. Separation can quickly turn to isolation. And those are some of the things that you would want to avoid over the next year with Jupiter going through this house. Okay, so now this energy is going to lead us to June 11th, and that is the new moon in Sagittarius. Again, I want to scroll back here because this is happening at 21 degrees, which does mean that we need to have a plan. And even as I scroll back here, you see it's in your 5th house. Okay, there we go. It's in your 5th house, and the 5th house represents joy. So anything that brings you joy. Full moons, of course, are turning points, they're completions, they're endings. So you may be having a baby and you could reach a milestone in your business, or you could let go of a hobby that's been draining your resources, or you could be, there could be a significant moment in the life of your child. And yes, okay, you are still facing some squares here, opposition to your sun. You've got a square to the north and the south node. So this is a very karmic full moon for you. Why? Because the north and the south node represent our destiny in life. The north node is about what we need to learn to achieve our destiny. And in your eighth house, that's shared resources. And that can be working on debt. It can be inheritances. So there could be a recent loss in the family. It could also mean, trust issues, being vulnerable, having a fear, its deepest fear. So having a fear of betrayal or commitment, right? But you have to embrace sharing your resources, time, money, and energy in order for whatever you're releasing for the new moon to be profitable. And then on the other side of this equation, you have a square to the south node, which is in Virgo right now in your second house of personal finances. So you need to let go of something related to your personal finances. So is something in the fifth house, children, a hobby, a small business, creative project, is it costing you a little money? Because this is connected to the eighth house of joint resources, are you, giving up some of your money to merge with another person in some way, a business partner, a romantic partner? Is this about, having a scarcity mindset? Is this about, I don't know, your relationship to money, and how if you feel like you don't have enough to provide for your children, or you don't have enough to go on a vacation or to have the lifestyle that you want. Those are the things that can be happening. And when I say resources, that I always mean time, money, and energy. But you also have a trine here to Mars, and it's in its final degrees, okay? I know it's in your sign. I know it really has been messing with you since, probably even before the holidays, starting around Thanksgiving. Mars was in Leo and Cancer and backtracking, and that was really difficult. You might have experienced some injuries or illness, or maybe a hit to your ego or damage to your reputation in some way, or maybe you just felt really, really constrained and stifled and you couldn't express yourself the way that you wanted to. But it's in the final degrees, so this is the last push, and it's asking you to really, again, be strong, to have courage as you release something that's happening under this full moon. And you also have a trine here to Chiron, which is in your ninth house. And, that's just the bigger picture, okay? I can drill down and I can say it's education and travel and philosophy and politics and religion. But at the end of the day, it's just, I like to say, seeing the forest through the trees. And Chiron with the trine here is saying whatever you release under this full moon is helping you see the bigger picture. Okay, so I wish you all the best with this one. So now we have to move to the 15th. And I told you in the intro that there was going to be some red flag days. And this is definitely one of them. Honestly, the next few days, 15th through the 18th. So we've got Mars in Leo, which is squaring Uranus in Taurus. So obviously, Mars impacting your sign right on the edge of heading into Virgo. So this is like one final push, the grand finale. And Mars is about heat, aggression. It can be very passionate, but that can also mean very competitive. So, what are you just gripping at, or, trying to accomplish or pushing your way to? Like, Do you need someone to see you in a certain way, or do you not feel seen and heard? Are you working through an injury? Have you recently had surgery? That's what that could mean. But the tension is about whatever is happening in the Uranus area of your life. And where is it? It's, oh, jeepers creepers. All right, right here. So Uranus is the planet of innovation and disruption. But when it's activated like this with a heavy hitter like Mars, we can all expect sudden changes. It's things that, we don't see coming often, and we have to pivot fast to be able to keep up with the energy. So, what's likely happening, because this is in your 10th house of career, marriage, your role as a parent, yeah, maybe you're getting married and this is about, the loss of, a single identity, or maybe you're getting divorced and now you're no longer identifying as being part of a couple, and you have to learn how to go it alone for a little bit. And this could be that you need medical attention and it is messing with your work schedule. And maybe people at the office aren't understanding how much time it's actually going to take to heal. Maybe you don't even know how much time it's going to take to heal. So maybe you need medical attention, or someone else is pushing you to get medical attention. And with Uranus being sudden change, you're likely going to do what you want to do anyway, because Taurus is pretty steadfast. So if you believe this is best for your career, your marriage, your role as a parent, and ultimately your partnerships, romantic and platonic, I think you got to go for it. On the same day, we've got Jupiter. And Jupiter is in Cancer. It's squaring Aries. Okay, excuse me, squaring Saturn in Aries. So we see it right here. And we need to all think back to mid-August and Christmas Eve, because this is the third and final square for these signs. So what was happening? Jupiter is now in your 12th house of private matters. It's connected to hospitals, rehab, churches. So maybe this is about pregnancy and the baby comes a little early and you're in the hospital. Or this could be about a vice that you can no longer keep a secret. And, I hope it I hope you don't get left at the altar, but that's a possibility too. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing. Saturn does need you to take responsibility. And with it being right next to Neptune, again, it's going to get a little confusing, because Neptune really does do what it can to cloud everyone's judgment. So when in doubt, I think fall back on the Mars and Leo energy. You need to do what's best for you, okay? Now I let the cat out of the bag. We spoke a little bit about Neptune. But on the 18th, now you've got Jupiter in Cancer squaring Neptune. And it's in your, Jupiter is in your 12th house and Saturn is in your 9th house. And Neptune is about idealism. It's about confusion. It's about rose-colored glasses. And Jupiter in the 12th can be about overindulgence and escapism. So now Mars is on the starting line of Virgo. It's hitting your finance zone. So if you need to spend a little money on your health, I think you should do it now. Or this could mean the health of your partner, since there is an inconjunct. Into your house of ceremonies, like right on the line of like joint assets, shared assets. You also have a trine here to the 7th house of committed partnerships and Pluto represents other people. So this could very well be about what's happening with your partner and how you're dealing with it behind the scenes, okay? So now let's talk about some brighter days, and that's on the 24th. Some astrologers call the 24th the Day of Miracles because it's the Jupiter Cazimi. And a Cazimi means when the sun, which by the way is your ruler, connects with the planet and amplifies the energy. So we already know that Jupiter is about wisdom, abundance, optimism, growth, expansion. So the sun kind of lights that on fire, right? Now, in the 12th house, the positive news is that you could have some kind of like epiphany or spiritual awakening. The negative news is that this can cause overindulgence and falling back on coping mechanisms. So that's when we have to really pay attention to the square right here to Neptune in your ninth house of law, legality, religious beliefs, politics, philosophy, education, and long distance travel, because if you're idolizing anything in that area and then you get smacked here by a supercharged Jupiter, then you really have the potential to spiral out of control, and that's not what we want to do. We want to pick up on the Cazimi's higher vibrations. Mars is now in Virgo, definitely in your second house of personal finances. So I say that Mars in Virgo is your blessing in this transit. As long as you have a budget and you're spending your money on a just cause, I think you're going to come out ahead. The sun is your identity. That is you. Jupiter for you is romance and creative projects and sports and children. It's also connected to your eighth house of other people's money and your deep bond. So you're not alone in whatever is going on. And if anything becomes too overwhelming, I think you really should focus on whatever brings you joy. And if you have to spend a little money on going out on a nice dinner date with someone, or grabbing the kids and taking them on a little trip or something, then that's what I would do here. And that's on the 18th, or excuse me, the 24th. Okay, so now to your last major transit of the month, and that is the Cancer new moon, and that's happening at 4 degrees. So here we go. And now new moons are times for fresh starts. And in 6 months, they turn into a full moon, and that's kind of when we reap the rewards if we've been doing the work over those 6 months. So over the next several months, I want you to focus on your personal and spiritual development, because again, this is happening in the 12th house. So do whatever you need to do to heal yourself and to nurture others. And I think connecting with mentors, volunteering, reading books, journaling, meditating, signing up for workshops, joining a support group, even traveling overseas. I think you got to treat yourself like your mom would, Cancer. And yeah, treat yourself like your mom would if you weren't feeling well as a kid. And I really do want to see your smile on your face by the holidays. Leos have the best smile, they have the best hair, and the best smile. So please work towards getting your smile back by the holidays. I wish you all the best, Leo.
If you found value in your forecast, please pay it forward by subscribing to the channel, posting a comment, and clicking on the notification bell. Transcripts are posted on astrocoachkate.com, where you can find all the ways to train with me and book a free discovery call.